What if Jagex were to add mounts to RuneScape 3? When you're ready, grab your cup of tea, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Now, I've made a video on a concept skill before, being necromancy, but Croxo commented on one of my Slayer guides, suggesting I make a video on the mounting concept skill as well. So I thought, why not? Let's just, brainstorm a bit, think a bit about mounting, because I've always wanted to have a mount in RuneScape 3, because in all other MMOs I've played, I've generally enjoyed mounts just for their cosmetic value alone, let alone their abilities and other things. Now, will there ever be a chance of necromancy being a skill in RuneScape 3? Maybe. But will mounts ever be added into RuneScape 3? Definitely not. If you're watching this video years into the future and there's mounts in RuneScape 3, then I'll officially retire to becoming a chicken in Lumbridge. Now, the initial link he sent in the comments is a RuneScape fanfiction wiki, basically a fake wiki of people thinking of random things. The wiki is a little strange. They even state that there's 67 people who have got 99 mounting. What? Like, sure, make an informative page of a concept skill, but that's a little strange in my personal opinion. But I'll use the wiki page and the document Croxo sent me to kind of brainstorm how mounting could work in RuneScape 3 and add my own thoughts to it. So let's start from the beginning. Now, the wiki page suggests that to get access to mounting, you have to complete a quest, so a starter quest. This quest could be free to play or pay to play. In my opinion, mounting could be better off as an elite skill, requiring something like hunter, summoning, and maybe agility. More on why I think it should be those three skills later. After this quest, you would be rewarded a unlocked mount, which you'd still have to tame in the Lumbridge stables, being a new area, I suppose. By taming the horse and getting access to the actual mount, the player would receive a mounting experience. Now, that's cool and all, but how would mounting actually be implemented? Would there be a very large new area added to the game specifically for mounts to be used and super effective at, as Croxo actually suggested in his Word document he sent me? Because it would make sense for mounts to be quicker than an actual human character running in RuneScape, so a larger landmass would mean that a mount would be the most effective way of travel if there weren't any lodestones. But that's creating a solution for a problem you've made by adding something into the game, being mounts. That's a weird way of adding new content. That's adding one bit of content and adding another bit of content to make that first bit of content stay relevant and have a use for it. It does seem like the more logical option though, because RuneScape doesn't have very large landmasses that can't be accessed quicker using teleports or the lodestone teleport system. So you would have to create something for those mounts to be relevant for movement. But what if mounts were purely used for their ability to do something? A passive ability or special attack, something like a summoning familiar 2.0. Instead of them actually increasing your movement speed, which is something we don't really need in RuneScape 3. Apart from their cosmetic or cool factor, this is the main reason mounts are used in many MMOs I've played before, with probably the exception of World of Warcraft, which I haven't really played, but I do think mounts actually increase your movement speed there, and they are useful. I don't really know, but I'm sure they are, but I'm not talking about World of Warcraft. For example, like Croxo actually said in his document, there could be a toxic swamp area, which is a large landmass in RuneScape 3, the size of Anachronia for example, where mounts could give you passive poison or toxic fume protection. But again, that's adding something for those mounts to be relevant. It's a bit of a weird thing. Another thing he actually suggested in his document is that large land area would have high-level skilling locations with the fastest methods in the game, except these skilling locations, much like sinkholes move, at least the entrance moves around every hour, these skilling locations would then move every 30 minutes to another location in the large landmass, and the faster your mount is, the faster you could get back to that skilling location to get that highest experience per hour. They could also add special clue scrolls and puzzles which require you to go over this large landmass. Again, and keep going back to a large landmass. We kind of already have that, which is Anachronia, and most people do not like walking around to big game hunter or their slayer tasks, including myself. Faster mounts would kind of solve this, but again, people are just so used to the lodestone and teleport system and them having it easy, including myself, that this large landmass could also be seen as a very bad option or update, which could get a lot of hate. Again, it depends on your personal preference. But what if these mounts just had a ability and they didn't do anything else apart from being cosmetic? For example, giving you 2% extra damage at certain bosses. For example, the giant mole mount, I'm just thinking of something, would give you extra damage at the giant mole. Or some other passive effect, decreasing damage you take. You know, adding something new, which is not really that game-changing, but then the cosmetic look of it makes it feel really cool. Because I would love to be doing PVM on horseback or on some big-ass tiger. That'd be sick. But that, again, I just love the idea of having mounts in RuneScape 3 purely from a cosmetic standpoint. Every time I've had a mount in a game, whether it's a massive frog, whether it's a tiger, whether it's a flying skyblade like in J Dynasty, or some weird dragon, it's always amazing from a cosmetic standpoint, and most MMOs are also about cosmetic looks, transmogs, etc. Now, there's a lot of things you can think of in terms of abilities and stuff, but let's just move on to what mounting actually could be like as a skill. I think there are two great ways on how mounts could be obtained in RuneScape 3 if mounting were to be added as a skill. The first of which is pretty straightforward. To keep PVMscape alive, simply obtain your mounts from getting a boss drop, or maybe unlock them while getting a boss pet at the same time. The other is catching the mounts using the mounting skill or hunter. This is why I said it could be an elite skill requiring hunt and agility, because you have to move around and maybe catch the creature to actually tame it. This is actually a way of obtaining mounts in other MMOs. That could be very interesting. You could see it as a very difficult, depending on the level of the mount, big game hunter encounter, getting harder and harder depending on your mounting skill, and the higher your skill is, the easier or higher catch chance you would have, and things like that. It could be something very unique and interesting that could bring some engaging content to RuneScape 3. But they couldn't just add mounts as a straight buff. For example, you can get your mount, you don't have to do anything once you've obtained it, and you get that straight damage or whatever buff it may be to your character permanently. Mounts could be upgraded using training areas in your player-owned house, which could be built using the construction skill. And maybe, to make it better for the economy, have mounts require fuel, aka food, or some type of item for some weird elf type of mount, some fantasy things that do not eat food, anything to make the economy better. Kind of like a sink for items, just like Invention was. And if you don't feed your mount, it could die and you have to get it again. Or if the happiness goes low because you do not feed it and it doesn't die, the buff is just super low or non-existent. And depending on how archaeology turns out, maybe there will already be very large areas underground in RuneScape 3 where mounts could be used. I know that's a little random, but who knows what archaeology is actually going to be like, because the skill isn't here yet, as it was delayed, sadly. But what if we had something, and this is something I really would like to see in the game, even without mounts, a large open area with a lot of monsters and endless waves of monsters that come at you for combat training, but then it's to train up your mounts. So a very large area, maybe 2 or 3 times the size of the fight caves, and then similar to the Nightmare Zone, I believe it's endless waves. I'm not entirely sure. Again, I do not play old school. I'm sure someone in the comments can tell me, but and the higher level your mount is, the higher you can get and the more rewards you can get, and maybe that could give you bonus experience for other skills that you don't like, you know, rewards, kind of making mini games alive as well. You could see it as a mini game where you can gain bonus experience in skills of your choice, but again, that could be seen as too OP by some players. I don't know, but it's just an idea. Or mounts could be trained in some kind of race, much like the Terrorbird beach run from the beach event, Lumbridge Crate event that happened a few times in a row, I believe, but it wasn't there last year. That could be a way of mounts being trained as well. And honestly, I'm really bad at thinking of ideas that could actually fit into RuneScape 3. So if you, the viewer, have any kind of idea of how mounts could be properly implemented in RuneScape 3, please leave a comment down below, because I'd love to read it. Because I know mounts will never be here in RuneScape 3. They will never be in RuneScape 3. I can almost guarantee it. But the idea of just having some cool mount cosmetically in the game that we all adore, just I love that. It appeals to me. I would pay money if Jagex would make some kind of, as long as it's not some treasure hunter, of course, Solomon's Storm mount. I would buy it. No joke. Using bonds, of course, because I'm a cheap scrub IRL, but that doesn't matter. Again, just let me know what you think down in the comments below. And with that being said, I want to end off this concept discussion type video, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.